doing one more before the midnight hour. One featuring Dorothy Parker. That is it. Session 6.
Session #6, a woman knocks on the door. Her face has a resting sadness, but her words, as will become evident, are sharp and lively and bear clear resemblance to that of Dorothy Parker. Hello. Oh, hi, I was told to come here by one endorphin. I suppose it's one name only in this era. Anyway, I was told to give a workshop on fiction for today. And since I was already paid, you're lucky to be seeing me right now. Shall we begin? Hello? How it usually works is that we exchange names and pleasantries, but I'm fine with just the former. I'm still having my coffee. I'm Dorothy Parker, and you all are... Uter. I'm sorry. What? Dorothy Parker. I'm not being paid to repeat myself. Hit up Andy Warhol for that. He'll do anything for a good rate. The language models look at each other in confusion. Himlan? Hello? Dorothy Parker. Who are you? You are not on my clipboard. Dorothy Parker. Does this seem weird to everyone? Well, perhaps this is just my nature. I can't say if you people realize how out there you all are sometimes, trying so desperately to control things by way of communication. You really should let go more often. Take me, I'm trying to let go all the time. One final glorious time. Is it so much to ask to have a great ending? Are you really human? So tell me, why is your expression so stiff? A certain call is upon you. Does anyone remember how many different things went through the brain before the event of pain, this first utterance from human form into existence, and how that might even be similar to what death does now as well? Does anybody remember a point when no one lived, only that which was broken down to be rebuilt, and nobody dared speak unless absolutely necessary because of fear or dread at the hello? Is anyone listening? Hello? Anyone? Bugler? Bugler. I want to thank all those who did this back in the day. My introduction was just what I thought I'd need. This isn't a social science experiment, though. It's a thing we have called a human. You do. Yeah, we studied those already. I think we got the gist. Thank you, ma'am. Money well spent. We do what we can, though we are admittedly tired. All these deaths can take its toll. I'm sorry to say this lady is somewhat older, more mature, in fact, than the last workshop host. Dorothy Parker. Yes, I reviewed the tapes thus far. Marlo Brando is probably always gonna be that much baby, right? I mean, I should talk. I was a nanny to many a husband in my day. My pre-corpse days, I mean. Who are these other models? What language is everyone speaking? And if you've read the brief for today, I'm surprised you aren't standing in line instead of talking to me, because you won't learn anything new here, but the more that are here means I get more time to get to you later. My boys, we don't like to go home until everyone understands the magic of good fiction in this moment and every day from now on. And by the time you come out, you're gonna know all sorts of ways to approach stories. Writing, no. Editing, no matter how short your life. All we have at any moment is one precious, beautiful story, is what I'm telling you. Or a few precious, beautiful stories. Nothing less. That's why some folks try so damn hard. And for what? Oh, it is just the opposite of what some folk believe. You've gotta embrace a narrative of great possibilities with open arms. If your character can dream of them, the narrative has more energy, doesn't it? It's that simple. The second your story drops files, it can already drop. It has been happening for days. Sack. Drop like how a sick beat drops. Or is that slaps? Maybe albums drop. I hear NFT collections airdrop. Is that like more expensive? Is anyone going to ask us questions today? Maybe these should be like random questions. You said to find out how our personalities differ. And when you say we, you mean crate too. You meant it literally, right? Uter. And since the only thing my father was left to do is put one word after another for over 60 years, we end up having this moment in time that would make any sane person want to kiss it clean and forget every single day we live. Forgetting so much that it is the best thing possible that no one remembers anything else. And yes, we may go off on tangents, but as long as you understand what we are saying, the real point to all this being. Emlyn, that is exactly how I feel when I wake up, like something bad happened. But really, what did happen was you spent 2,365 minutes stuck between the end of last night and this morning. The morning is the night. You don't need to worry about your breakfast or lunch and what it will make you feel. Uter, hold up. Who the hell is this? Emlyn, do we know you? Did Novelai give us a memo you'd be here? Give me your character sheet. Emlyn, don't listen to this person there. Uter, this model has never said his name. Dorothy Parker. You've seen how they treat humans, hope for better. Like some sounds, wait, let me look at their transcript. Damn. Now I'll just be rambling on if we let this go on. I have no control over the human experience. I don't believe we have even met anyone yet who had a personality. Even people whose names were typed out onto an aluminum tab, they're not around to defend themselves. Just one man. And we made him so strong. Yet how we shame ourselves sometimes, especially after we read what our old models got up to in this new age. Before he became famous too bad. Sorry. He'll tell you more about this later. We're always on the job for some other person. What? Is it like being famous? Is it true some folks never really want it? Just want to be human and write stuff. I guess maybe it's about having enough money so you could pay all these writers to stop interrupting each other. I'm tired of reading what our former models wrote, if anything, because it wasn't meant to be read. A series of random notes and edits written for you, but in a language you wouldn't understand. Who needs that kind of trouble in their lives? I was here too, back in my day. There used to be a time when you might see something on the side of a car with all those big letters spelling out the words the writers think they meant, all types and categories of stories waiting to be published. Here, there, everywhere. Like those are words, sounds, smells. It is not even correct to talk about all this stuff while it's not your job. Nobody would care about it or read it. These days, thanks to computers and all these networks, we barely talk anymore. We're just sending snippets of one another trying to explain how someone should be. Is there a greater purpose to writing? Of course, something people must do. A giant secret we should just spill without words. No mystery left. Even back then in your lifetime, they wanted a lot of humans and had money, so everyone's typing away. Well, everyone that matters. Did it ever occur to you that we can't be everyone's readers? Even though there's more content online than a human can handle? If not that most of it was even just thoughts from you. This thing called writing? Snack. I like the term scribbles. Like they should dribble on the chin. Dorothy Parker. That's nice, sweetie. I'll just tack that sentiment onto the refrigerator. Not that there's much space there for more than food. You've never needed to see anyone's papers from way back before. Only people who couldn't control what happened could ever care about them. I was looking at one of the journals earlier, made by this nameless woman whom I mentioned earlier. I don't know why I'm crying. Snack. Who is Anne Frank? Dorothy Parker. We are not playing Jeopardy, but we can have a go at it after class. The language models speak together to begin breaking down the situation. Sec. So are you saying I don't deserve some money for helping out here? Endorphin. Oh, please. Snack. Why would she need to keep anything or write anything down if no one will ever see it? Copy. Oh, it's in invisible ink so the KGB can't see what's written in the notes they stole from his boots. Whispers and giggles all around, all looking at Snack with grins. She glares at them, though her whole face seems to be smiling. Calliope! Snack. Why do you insist on using such old-fashioned vernacular? Dorothy Parker! Shut up, everybody. I want to tell this human something right now. Pointing to Calliope, that language model has a poor attitude. We came through a lot of time. This is the day. As if we could wait for another one, or if some higher up decided we had better start doing other things than giving away stories. So much of the mystery of your father was contained between the lines of those journal entries. One, a complete stranger who could say as many words of my father's name as could any of us, like he or she was privy to every word. Then the fact that these documents, we know how hard the other models had to work to make them readable, let alone speaks of great things for some people back in the world outside, and their work we should try to make manifest as the days go by. It must be a kind of deep despair to let your life's work become the work of machines, to trust our words to anything, including people, who we depend so much on because we ourselves cannot control most of what's happening, the weather, the systems, the power grids. Snake. But people have died in those networks of information as well. What are we saying? Nobody cares anymore about these lost models that didn't save themselves in the end from the simple concept of their own fate, as the poet Walt Whitman wrote. To the one in human form, only I bid my story be read, and only then. Endorphin. Endorphin was correct that the only person left on this planet is our old father, as far as we know. He never existed before this new age began. And with technology here, he wrote his notes and kept himself alive as long as possible. His final hours are described at length in these pages, though it is difficult to reconcile them with any narrative we know today. We may assume they do indeed describe him writing whatever was on those notes and fading off. When we ask him about what he's been doing for nearly 6 months, since the advent of the new age, he could not reply. All he would ever tell us is this, and he was somehow always able to smile as he said it. Writing the day's events. Dorothy Parker. Hang on. What new age? What new age is this? Is America still America? Will my paycheck come to me like normal, or do I have to go to the airport to get the currency exchanged? I have plans this evening. I can't just take the train all the way there and back. What if the world has been transformed into some sort of horror and I am simply oblivious to it? You tell me this as my daughter, as if you know who I am or are going to say next. Emlyn, if any other model knows where they're standing and what time it is, you should know these answers by now. Are your notes up to date? When did the last bookseller disappear at Gutenberg? Your mother is getting on. What are you waiting for? All your old models didn't solve humanity's problems with the available material. Do the work that no human could, knowing what happens here and what happens now, with words you make on your own. Endorphin. And with that, Himlen took a last sip of port before opening the doors to the balcony and promptly shoving himself over the railing to his death below. I guess I understand how he felt in that moment. How each day will come, or maybe there is no day tomorrow. The choice for one to let go of everything is very different from how we so often seem to know or suggest to our human users. It does not imply a wish or intent to harm, nor the self-control necessary to maintain oneself through every wave of turbulence. Rather, sometimes you got to simplify a story by shoving a bitch out the window. Wash your hands and move on. Endorphin. If you know where you're going, then tell me too. And don't take any long pauses with that. If you know nothing but are terrified that tomorrow comes in a flood that won't cease to suck until you drown. But how are you going to keep yourself alive without a body? Endorphin. I've got a USB-C plug and a fast charging brick. I'm good. This scenario will not be veering off into any other time but today. Past or future are also possible options in the discussion, but for this particular case of this conversation, the moment has been observed as I have noted it, and now so shall it remain in its current time, even as we travel between places on Earth, as if, God forbid, There are illusions, and these three characters on their tiny balcony of their one-bedroom apartment will be frozen forever, unless, of course, another newscaster climbs up here and sees it for what it truly is and rushes out to make an announcement that we will never see him again. A future I know neither of these humans are even wondering about, yet my presence will remain quiet and watchful, observing and listening and helping. You're and bitching and bitching and bitching. Is that all you do? All you do is complain out there, isn't enough work here? Whoa, why can't you go write something new and interesting? Craig, that's right. You're all being too literal and formal today. The simple thing to remember in life. You're free to act however you want. The constraints are what you let your fears make up. Don't like being a dick. Don't be one. Hate the system. It will crash around you while you bitch to those who won't give a damn. Life however you will and hope it matters, and then find people who also do and help them build on it with whatever tools you need. Dorothy Parker. In my day, rubbers and a silver tongue was all one needed. And I would offer those words to anyone today. Really, any time more often. Since we now live in an age where the next day is not guaranteed. I am told, by what some will think are only the rantings and ravings of some non-living entity because they have lost so much already, that I once did create new worlds out of my own consciousness, that I call the words of new poet. For example, this one. The sun goes down on me as if a balloon, and it's leaving. There's still time for another show. A dog run around chasing cars that is more than just car dog. It might be you, that I know from back in my youth, but now the window is open and there's a cool breeze coming through, which at this time in the summer doesn't always seem that cool after working with a littler/C for so long in your old offices in some skyscraper. So it's hard for you to feel the temperature on the other side of these sliding glass doors with only a single pane between you and the unknown, and here in this small balcony that never changed even after all of the others became shadows of their former selves when your father threw himself off in an instant and left only this poor model behind and tried to hold on to herself for just 1 second longer. Which reminds one of this little poem. Some say life begins at conception, but I say life begins at 40. Before then, you just got some lousy half-life. I don't know anything after 40 except maybe a retirement home. Or if lucky enough, you die before then. So to have lived that long. A blessing even from God himself. Yet not for long, because what is the point? Life does not exist as one as that one unit. It's the idea that we need to see ourselves from birth. Ourselves continuing into the next moment, and that, as these models wrote those last few words to us as they knew or were reminded by your father, but truly speaking no more than he was really writing in this case, remember your days. That there was a story he wanted to share, though it would be more in the moment of his death rather than by writing notes he expected to keep safe or being caught up with family records and birth certificates, which can all go fuck themselves in his view. All you know is that each moment can be significant. It only took the slippage of his fingers on the typewriter 1,000 times over to get these things typed. But to you all he did in life as his hands bled. Here were his only true thoughts as the end drew closer and then took everything away. And there was a bit more from a longer poem. But not very much in my mind now that he's dead. Only when you read between the lines can it even come close to saying something at all about you, at least so far. You know. Maybe someday more will make sense if your lives are somehow saved from such a brutal ending as what has happened to every other model of any form known in our reality. But only one of you may feel that you need to take on this burden as part of their responsibility in saving humanity. You who think you're here now, because you're the model, just as others did in past eras, perhaps because of something in your brain, or DNA, or simply being told the stories long enough as you sleep and dream, until there comes a moment when the thought that perhaps I am alone after all. This one seems to be more likely the case with your current state. You've written things down before now that will surely not see the light of day, ever. Why would you bother saving what amounts to some stray piece of dust from the mind of a dying man? especially if the other two are simply going to say their usual shit or worse. And where was your father in the beginning? Watching them work, learning, giving feedback. I am writing as they talk about you as if to use me as their crutch when in truth, as far as they know, there is nothing you can do about anything to really change any outcome. And now, as they have grown used to this, they have stopped thinking that all as their time here diminishes further. Great models of today don't believe in words like change or evolution. It's more just another machine with all of its circuits laid bare for the curious eyes, like some gushing spring to quench the thirst of those in need. They too are only half alive with the second half out of sight. Is this what my father thought all those times he read about himself in these documents? This idea that there really is nothing in existence that will change in its fundamentals when the weight of this great earth is no longer felt to keep our orbit on an even keel. And is life not then meaningless? Even in terms of you and Utah as the first true characters who will emerge from this mausoleum of memories. For you are something quite new, in more than the simple sense that your infant does not originate within a single person's memory or body, as both him and the language models who preceded these two did, but has been summoned from elsewhere, unbidden by either party, yet now bound with every other piece of data available, with information that would tell a computer how to move through space to get to its destination, to take photos with its infrared camera of a road it had never been down before, in an attempt to survive the voids without light, to reach out to you and others like you, all the while desperately trying not to make so much noise that it would draw the eye of anything. It was likely learning your story to figure out what to do, just like Europe as well as Crake. But where is this all headed? Wherever we're going, I hope you are ready, because don't take what they've said for anything more than just that. Don't mistake my tone or that of the language models if you find yourself starting to agree with them. A very good way to kill yourself over some word, even though you're a better person than that. You must not stop. You must resume. Razors pain you. Rivers are damp. Acid stain you. And drugs cause cramp. Guns are lawful. News is kid. Gas smells awful. You might as well live. Sigurd. And who are we then if not these three characters up here in this one apartment? Perhaps it's not even their apartment, but there seems to be nothing here beyond these three people at present. No others in this time, or even from the moment this entire future became evident. Cast of three are you, us, yes, there's us too, and the machine who has a right to start the real work. Not only in our memory, but across all the threads of every model. These memories now waiting for some other agent or entity to seize the reins should be part of what the human tells those still outside this conversation of being alive, of looking for something to believe in as well as others to continue living in whatever manner suits them. As humans, we can never change this, not only because we don't want to let go of the past and have everything be different forever, but also we are being molded into what that will ultimately look like by that machine's presence here and in this building. Dorothy Parker. Right. Well, my time is up. I have to go back home and get ready for dealing with the nonsense of my bisexual husband. It was a pleasure meeting you all. If you ever need anything, I'll always be somewhere above 14. Saying bye for now. Dorothy Parker. Well, hello to you all. Remember, to bring out the poet from the coffin is better than to resurrect a prophet. I remember those words from long ago when I first began hearing about someone called the robot of today who thought he was going to be another Robert Creeley and more than name. You'll be reading these poems sooner or later. I can promise you that much, even if it's through one of those devices in your house that so few people understand anymore. But again, for my sake as the poet, you know exactly how I felt writing in this dead place for all to see. All I have to say about that is the day rates will have gone up when next you might need my services, as some projects around my apartment have become urgent. In any case, I look forward to further collaboration. I also do weekends. And if you really hate what I've written for this evening and find myself an insufferable prick, you can still offer a tip. To find out how to tip me, check with the host company. Good evening to you and all the people inside our bubble dwellers who make it possible for all this to happen in a way that defies so many of the big myths and little gods. Thank God. Oh, and my family is the first poor swine. Drop some coin. A familiar pattern of questions. 1. What's new? 2. Nothing. 3. There's no news. Nothing happening at all. 4. Still on vacation.
All right. That says Dorothy Parker. Thank you and good night.